Hello everyone, welcome to Proprietary Solutions. So in this video we are going to learn the scripting part in ServiceNow. So we are going to discuss the client and server side script, and specifically in this video we are going to discuss the overview of the scripting. So this video will basically help you to prepare for the CAD exam of ServiceNow. So in this video, we will understand what are the core concepts we have of the scripting, what is actually the scripting is, why we use, when to use, when not to use, what is the difference between the configuration and the customization, where and how to use the scripting in ServiceNow, and we will go through the syntax editor in ServiceNow, and we'll see the various options that are provided by ServiceNow in syntax editor, so that we understand what is the pre-built ServiceNow keywords which we cannot use, and when we define our own logic, how can we differentiate through the colors and other details. So let's start from the core concept. So scripting, that means we need to write some of the script to achieve some outcome. Okay, why do we need it? Basically we need the scripting in ServiceNow when we are basically getting a new feature to be added, or we are modifying the existing feature. So ServiceNow out of box, there are multiple configurations that is already provided. Now if we want to update something, if we want to add a new feature altogether, we can use the scripting part. But it should be very judiciously decision we need to take whether we should use the script or there is other way we have in ServiceNow to avoid the scripting. So second core concept says we shall avoid the unnecessary scripting because it's not at all good for ServiceNow system health. And if we are writing some script, we need to ensure like if those scripts are used by the multiple functions, multiple features, then we create the reusable script. So what type of scripts we have in ServiceNow? So in ServiceNow, we have the client-side script, server-side script, and mid-server related scripts. Client-side scripts are the script which executed at browser layer. So if we are opening ServiceNow in Edge or Chrome, anything which is happening on the browser itself, client-side scripting. But the server-side scripting is just opposite, what is actually happening at database layer. So once our record is submitted, if we want to make any change to the submitted record which is in database, we need to use server-side script. Mid-server we use when we connect with the external systems. So if we are using any integrations like discovery and other stuff, we are using some of the transformation scripts and so on. That point of time, we need to write some of the scripts that gets executed at mid-server. Last, the core concept is ServiceNow has provided one script editor, and that supports JavaScript. So JavaScript's ECMA 2021 is the version which we use as of now. And before that there was a JavaScript version, and system does provide an option when we create any of the application like which version we want to use. And we have option to select the compatibility option as well, so that anything which is already written in the previous JavaScript version, it should also be able to execute in future. So let's go to the next concept, which says when exactly we should use. So as discussed, if we are adding new functionality, we can use. If we are extending any new functionality, we can use. If we are glide through the record, through the messaging, so if we are using some complex logic to be written, we can use. Okay. If we are automating any process by integrating the other systems or any other way, then we can use. If we have the reusable codes and using the multiple scripts included, we can use. If we are interacting with third party, we need to write this script to get the data, to send the data, to transform the data. That point of time also, we can use these scripting part. Now again, we need to take this decision like when exactly we should do that. Okay, so before we go and discuss that, let's understand the thin line we have between the configuration and customization. So at high level, we can say The ServiceNow out-of-box features like business rule they have provided the client scripts and multiple other type of scripts, right? So if we are adding some conditions in it, if we are changing some of the fields using the existing out-of-box scripts, then those changes fall under configuration. Basically, when we upgrade the system, there are actually no changes happens to that, or it allow basically to upgrade the system based on the new updates. So it accepts the updates. If we do some customization, that means we need to take, like if we are writing a new script, if we are modifying the out-of-box scripts, all those things comes under customization. Very much aware about this concept. When we are upgrading our system from one version to another version, anything which is customized will come under review and skipped category. And we need to take a call while comparing. Do you want to accept the new functionality comes as part of the new version release of ServiceNow, or do we want to consider the existing configuration what we have done, or existing customization what we have done? So we need to decide like when to use customization. It says first let's identify what is the record we need to update, and let's define whatever data or whatever customization we are planning to do. Can it be done with no code? Does it meet at least 80% requirements with no code? If it says yes, it can meet 80% requirement with no code, implement the no code or low code approach. If 80% requirements cannot be achieved through the low or no code, then we need to go here and take a decision on whether low code approach would work. Okay. If we say yes, low code approach will work, certainly we can go and update the existing logic or create a new logic with low code approach. Okay. What is low code approach? Low code approach is something where you make minor tweaks, minor changes, like new condition addition in the triggers and so on. Okay. Those minor enhancements you can do based on the requirements. If the low code approach doesn't work, then we need to modify the base record. Okay, and when we modify the base record, we need to ensure when we are upgrading that will be marked under skipped record, and we need to compare and take a decision whether we need to accept the upgraded new version, because if we accept it, we will be losing all of the updates we made to that particular record. And if we want to keep those changes what we made earlier before upgrade, we need to skip that particular record. Okay, so now let's understand what type of scripts we have. So at high level we discussed we have three types of script. The first script is client side, second is server side, third one is mid server layer scripts, right? Client side scripts we discussed the scripts that runs on user browser to manage the form behavior and field values in real time. That is called all client side scripts. Okay, so let's go to the ServiceNow interface. So here, let's say we have a example where if I change the impact and urgency, my priority should be driven. For that, I can write a client script. Okay, if I want, when I change the category, the subcategory list should be dynamically populate with the relevant values. Okay, so you can see if I select hardware, it shows these three values. If I select database, then it shows database related options, and this is happening because of the client script. So this particular detail or changes are not yet saved to the database. All this is happening on this particular browser. When I save that record, when I update that record, that point of time, this particular record will go and insert into the database. And to insert into the database, we require a server side script. Okay, So let's go back to the slide. So client scripts are basically of three types. First is client script, second is UI policies, and catalog scripts. Catalog scripts we will discuss later, because catalog layer scripts are used in service catalog part. Okay, there also we have the catalog client scripts and catalog UI policies, and it has a different way. It has a similar way to use it. Okay, it's just little different way to call the fields, but rest of the behavior is mostly same. You can see some of the examples also written here. In our subsequent sessions, we are going to create or implement all these examples as well. Okay, so let's understand the client script. Client script is which basically runs on the user browser to manage the form behavior and field values. So we discussed here, right? If I change my category to password reset, the subcategory should have the relevant option, right? So these options are populated, and that we can achieve from client script. Then the second type of client-side scripting is UI policies. So if I want some of the field to be hidden, some of the field to be visible, or make some of the field on read only, then I can go ahead and create the UI policies. Okay, so there could be an example like let's say if state is in progress, okay, I do not want to see the service offering. So if we have that particular scenario to implement, we need to create a UI policy. UI policy is again executed at browser layer only. That's the reason we say it as client-side scripting. Okay, now how to write all this scripting, that we are going to learn in subsequent sessions. Let's go back to the PPT here. Third, we talk about the catalog script. So catalog script is using the catalog client-side script and catalog UI policies only. Okay, and we have some of the examples here that we will also have a look. Now, who all can create these scripts? Okay, so we need to understand that role in ServiceNow. First role in ServiceNow is ServiceNow admin. So ServiceNow admin has full authority to do all of the required changes to the existing scripts, or write a new scripts and so on. Okay, now second is ServiceNow definition admin. So in ServiceNow, if we want any specific configuration to be changed by a specific person, we can set this particular role. So if we set the definition admin to, let's say, to create or update the business rule only, then the person who is having this particular role only would able to update the business rule. That person will not be able to update the script include or anything. Okay, any other side of the script, that person will not be able to make. So if you want, like some of the team members who are basically junior, what I want them, like they should only do the client side of the scripting. So in this particular definition admin, I can assign those resources. If I want this, this person should do, one person should do server client side and server side, I can assign the admin role itself. But if I want to restrict it for the specific configuration, then ServiceNow definition admin can be used. Third, we have the application admin. So if we create any custom application in system, then that application related configuration can be done by that particular user who is having this particular application admin role. Okay, so these roles are common for the client side and server side script. Let's understand now what is server side script. So client side we understood like the changes or any modification on the theme or of fields or forms we need to do at browser layer, that is client side. But something if we need to do at server layer, then we need to use server side scripting. So first type of server side scripting is business rule. Okay. So what is business rule? Business rules are rules that is triggered basically at database operations. So if we are inserting a record, if we are updating a record, if we are deleting a record, if we want to run certain scripts or certain logic, that we need to write at business rule. Second, we have the glide system. So okay, before we go there, let's understand the business rule from form. So if we go back here, okay, when I submit this particular form, on insert, I want this assignment group should fill automatically. Then I can write a logic in the business rule, like when this insertion happen first time, then based on the category, the assignment group should auto select. And when I open this record again, I should be able to see that particular group. So let's say for the network, it should automatically assign to the network. Okay. One way is, if I want it at client side, I can write a client script also, where I say if I select the network, assign it to network. If I select to the hardware, select to the service desk, like that. But if I want a server side approach also to be followed, okay, where let's consider when service desk is creating the ticket, they are not sure like which group it should go to, and we want to write a logic like let's find out from previous month record, or let's find from a KB or from a table where we maintain the assignment groups dynamically. Okay, that in that approach also we can write the business rule, and that can populate this particular assignment. Second we have is glide systems. So glide system is used as GS. Glide system is one of the class in ServiceNow which abbreviated as GS. Okay, now GS is glide system. We use this to log the record execution in the script. So in the script, when I execute one by one, if I am getting some error, or I want to log like what action is taken, like after this record is inserted, I want to place one line in the record, like this particular INC number record is saved or inserted into incident table. So such sort of logging can be done using this glide systems. If I want to send the notification, I can trigger the notification from here. So to trigger the email notifications, there are multiple ways. One way is I can trigger the event, and that event get triggers from here stating gs.event. Okay, this G is always small, so be careful with some sort of syntax what the service now follows. So if I use this and use the appropriate parameters, then an event can trigger the events. Third, we have glide record. So if we want to pull some data or query some data or update some data, I want to create an object. So again, glide record is a class in ServiceNow, one predefined class, which is having the functions like insert, update, delete, query. Okay, and we can use those functions to query the record, update the records. So if I want to open the incident list, right, that point of time we are querying the record. If I'm opening this particular record, then it's been queried from the database and it's displayed on the screen. If I go and update this particular record, okay, or if I go and save this particular record, then this particular record is saved into database. So all that operations done using the glide record. Now on the insertion of the record, if I want to run some other rules, I can use basically business rules. Okay, we have different type of business rules that we are going to discuss in different session. But at high level, business rules can run before this particular record is inserted, or as soon as this particular record is inserted, we can run it. We can run a query business rule also to see what is getting displayed before even it load to the system. And the fourth type of business rule is async business rule. So once it's saved, then asynchronously it can take any action. So asynchronously basically we use when let's say we have the parent and child, and I don't want to wait for that operation to be done where I am passing this particular set of information to the child ticket. Okay, if I don't want to wait, I can use async business rule also, where the information will pass after it after we save the record, but user will not see any latency to do any other work. So how the async business rule works? Whenever the ServiceNow processors get time, that point of time, those will be executed. Okay. Usually it takes around 1 to 2 seconds, not more than that. Next is script include. So this is the reusable code we use in ServiceNow, and in this reusable code, we write some logic which can be called from different type of scripts. So from business rule also we can use any script include. From any other server side, like from flow designer also we can use the script includes. Okay. Last is the flow designer also does use some of the scripting part. So in flow designer we have an option to drag and drop the values from the data page, as well as if there is a complex logic where we can also write the script. Okay, in our subsequent sessions, we are going to discuss all type of scripting, whether it's a client side or server side, and we will implement all these examples which is written here. For some of the examples, like integration with the third party, we might not be able to execute, but if then we will execute basically some other example.